Hello, everybody. I'm dropping things. This is Amelia, your intuitive empath, coming at you later in the evening. And hair, that's a mess. It's all good. Today I'm going to be using Palo Santo. It's very grounding, cleansing, protective. Just going to have a drop. Maybe come out of this. It's a little bit more thick. Well, I'm going to have to force a drop out. And just take a second to breathe in, because this video, for some reason, has had many blocks around it. I'm starting this new segment called Story Segments, as I'm guided to, and for some reason my last video was about 6 minutes long and it had cut off within 20 seconds. I don't even know what happened. So I'm just gonna put Palo Santo all over me today. So there are many pieces to my story, but the title of this one is The Making of an Empath. Something in my eye. The making of an empath. This can be many different things, but for me, it's been the accumulation of life lessons and healing and karmic relationships and my soul's purpose and just so many things that caused me to be where I am today. And so, one of the things that I will be talking a lot about, I'm just going to make this kind of an intro video to all the story segments, is, there was a little piece of, the pieces of childhood that led me to be a highly sensitive child. I was always, I always had some gifting as a child, and later, now I realize that's part of being an empath. But so what created that early on? Still working on those pieces, and that's okay. And of course, my very toxic, narcissistic, abusive marriage played a huge role. So there is really something in my eye. And that really just catapulted me into a space of deep healing, removal of false selves, removal of the ego, developing my spiritual gifting, developing my healing, my intuition. All those pieces are in part a direct result of that. So I think that's why a lot of spiritual people say that we all have this gifting in us. It just needs to be awakened. So my daughter asked me recently, because I was reconnecting with my counselor, who I would say is more of a friend now, because it's been many years since I have seen my counselor, because I am choosing to heal on different levels right now that don't include that specific type of counseling. There's other input that I create for myself through my own learning, through other people, and through our creator. So that's really why. But she's like, why haven't you, been to see your counselor in a while? I was like, why don't you go anymore? I was like, well, because I am where I am. And again, as I grow in my own empath journey, my vibration should continue to go up, and finding a counselor that matches my own frequency would be probably a little bit of a challenge. And do I feel like I need to right now? No, because really I learned so much. I learned about healing from this person. I learned how to open up my intuition more. I learned to listen to my soul more. And that my soul was capable of so much more. So it really was another catapult into my next phase. And so that was that phase. And now we're moving into this phase. And there was something else I was going to say about that. I feel like there's more. But it really led me directly into the path of self-healing. You can see I'm detoxing right there, my self-healing process. So there's many aspects to this, but all of my experiences, all of my lessons, all of the people that have been in my life have been there for a reason, and my counselor was one. And so I also now learn from my clients. We learn from each other. We help each other. I learn, from my kids and their experiences. Some things are being reflected back as I have teenagers just starting in my household, that I'm looking at some new levels of healing my responses to that sort of energy in my house, and doing it in the most peaceful way possible. So I'm trying to think of what else I had in mind for this. But the whole point of this series of story segments is to help you have an understanding that whatever your story is that has led you to the place you are now, it's okay. All can be forgiven and released and healed. And when you see the beauty in that, it can only raise your frequency. And I must say, and I say this a lot, but that forgiveness has to be a part of the story too. I am in a constant forgiveness pattern towards anything that I see that has a potential to settle within myself. I want that to be traveling out, not settling as any sort of discomfort or disease in my body or whatever it might be. It's not allowed to stay here anymore. So, and that's part of the process as we learn to heal. So I forgive myself, I forgive others, I forgive my ex, I forgive my kids, I forgive the world, I forgive all of those things. Whenever I feel like I need to, I just do it, and I release myself, and I free myself into a place of peace and tranquility that is more important than living, well, I was a victim of this. I had this happen to me. This is what they did to me. And I don't, understand why. It doesn't matter. I am choosing to be responsible for me now outside of all else. And I'm trying to teach my kids the same. So great TikTok about that today, about being a candle blower outer. So I might have to talk more about that another time, but we need to shine as bright as possible, and holding on to the old is not going to help us do that. Process it, let it be what it catapults us into the next phase, and then go on. So there's a lot more to it than that, but that's kind of the basics. I just thought it was really interesting that she had asked me that question about, why don't you go anymore? I thought, yeah, why don't I go? So it really allowed me to stop and think and process that for myself. So what are some ways? Share what about your story has catapulted you into your next higher space of whatever it might be. It's really time to remove all the blocks, and that's what I really help people do in healing. And so again, if you'd like a session with me, check out my website below. And if you're an empath and would just like to learn more about how to process that, join the empath community. Link is below. Sending love to you all. Have a beautiful day.